Amen. That's the way to start one of these programs, let me tell you that. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a round of applause for Donnell Damon and a Royal Priesthood. We're going to hear more from them later on. And a special thank you to Phil Curry for the music as you enter the sanctuary. Thank you, Phil. Welcome everyone to celebrate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We'd also like to welcome the listeners who are hearing this program broadcast live on KRIZ in Seattle. Welcome everyone. My name is Lori Matsukawa from King 5 News. I am so honored to be here out of the rain, wearing red to brighten all our spirits, to remember and to celebrate the blessing that was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We have been doing this now, meaning the Seattle Central Community College and all the Seattle community colleges. We have been doing this program now for 32 years. And we take this opportunity to not only remember the legacy of Dr. King, but to live his legacy every day. For many of us, the stories following the Gulf Coast hurricanes came as stark reminders of neighbors who are still being left behind and the work that we still need to do to fulfill Dr. King's commitment to civil rights and justice for all. This afternoon, we'll be encouraged with art, words, music, dramatic paintings, and by inspiring stories and song. So welcome and thank you for being with us today. We begin with an invocation from our host, the Reverend Dr. Samuel B. McKinney, pastor at Mount Zion Baptist Church. And then Donnell Damon and a Royal Priesthood will lead us in the traditional anthem, Lift Every Voice.
Let us stand. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in thy path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, O God, where we met thee, lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. And on this day when we celebrate the life and the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., may we realize that the dream is still a dream. It has not been fulfilled as yet, but it is up to each of us to live out our lives in such a way that we will hasten its coming. Send us all forth from this place better than when we entered, determined to make the kingdom of this world become the kingdom of our God, that you might reign forever, is a prayer we ask in your name and for your sake. Amen. Let us all remain standing. Take all hats off. Turn off all cell phones.
bit about Director Donnell Damon. He came to Seattle from Rochester, New York, with a vision to create a national, even an international recording ministry. And during the last year, the group has performed throughout the Puget Sound area and already has a growing number of fans. And if you want to hear them again, you're in luck because they will be recording a CD later this spring. I'm sure we'll be seeing them at maybe a Grammy Awards program too. Martin Luther King Jr. often spoke about the value of education. He compared education to a door that was an opening to a better life. Every year, Seattle community colleges open their doors and change the lives of more than 50,000 students. The leadership of the Seattle community colleges includes 5 trustees who are appointed by the governor. It is my pleasure now to introduce the chairman of the Seattle Community Colleges Board of Trustees, Dr. Tom Malone.
Good morning, everyone. It's, I don't know how many years I've been coming here now, but it's such a pleasure here to come here every year and see this group. The music, as I was telling Mr. Barnes, is just extraordinary every year. It is a wonderful experience every year. I would like to take a moment to thank Lori Matsukawa for leading our program. It's not her first time here, and I seem to enjoy it more every time she comes. She is a wonderful person. We thank you, Lori, and we thank King Television for taking on this important role in our community. If we're talking about excellence and awards, I'd like to mention that Lori has earned an impressive number of professional awards for her news reporting over the years. Lori, I recall hearing it said that one of your parents had been a teacher, right? Both have been a teacher, and it helped to create her belief in the value of learning. We really appreciate you sharing that, living that value, and sharing it with us, Lori. As Lori mentioned, I'm the chair of the Board of Trustees at the Seattle Community Colleges. It's a privilege to work with my colleagues. The 5 of us have been together now for several years, more than 5, I think. I think every one of us, maybe with one exception, has been reappointed, and we've had a great working relationship over the years. It's my pleasure to introduce them to you today. Unfortunately, Yvonne Sanchez and Dorothy Hollingsworth can't be here today. Dorothy is visiting her family down in Arizona, and Yvonne has one of the world's busiest jobs, being the director of neighborhoods in Seattle. There are a lot of them. I think that you understand why she might not be able to be here. But we do have 2 wonderful people with us today. We have, maybe she would just stand up again. And Don Rudd. I'm not going to bore you with the support that you've given for years. Nobody actually worked in the system for years, and Don has been one of its most steadfast supporters of the community colleges year after year after year. And you as citizens are really fortunate to have them helping us. I'd now like to also introduce the leadership. Our schools are nothing without strong leadership. That's true of every organization. It's certainly true of our organization. And we're very privileged to have excellent people in our highest spots. We have Dr. Ron Lafayette, president of the North Seattle Community College. By the way, it's probably Art Siegel who's seated here. My guess is, Art, haven't you been at every single one of these? I bet you have. Every single one. It's probably Art who did this, but someone decided to hire a very expensive public relations person to name our colleges, so we very cleverly named them North, South, and Central. It was a lot of money, but worth every penny. Dr. Mildred Olay from Central. Dr. Jill Wakefield from South. We do have one exception to our naming. We are very fortunate to have one of the great institutions in Seattle, Seattle Vocational Institute, that gives so much hope to so many people who would otherwise, I think, have none. Seattle Vocational Institute and Dr. Norwood Brooks. Thank you very much, and I hope you all will enjoy this half as much as I do.
Thank you, Tom. One of the remarkable aspects of this program is how so many leaders in our community come forward and participate. Now, Governor Gregoire is in Olympia today and could not get away, but she has sent her special representative, Karen Lee, Commissioner of Employment Security for the state of Washington, who has some words to share from Governor Gregoire. Karen.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I would like to send my regrets for Governor Gregoire, but I'm so very pleased to be here working with my partners from the community college system and with so many of you. One of the things that I would like to say about Governor Gregoire, which you may not have known, is that although she's been here a short time in office, she's quite committed to diversity, and of her large cabinet, her executive cabinet members, 4 are African Americans, which is the first time in the history of our state and probably the history of the nation. So my boss and our governor is truly committed to diversity, and I'm just proud to work for her. And for those of you who are Mount Zion members, she'll be here on Sunday with a word to say for you. And so although I'm from an AME church, I may just have to sneak in, if you don't mind, so I can hear what she has to say. So anyway, we have a proclamation from our governor, which I'll read. And it says that whereas on January 16, 2006, our state and our nation honor the life and work of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. through a holiday in his name. And whereas Dr. King's dedication to serving others is an inspiration to all of us and a call to confront and eliminate injustice. And whereas Dr. King's life was spent creating a better life for all. And whereas we must carry forward Dr. King's powerful message and commitment to a better life for all, because hope for a secure and livable world requires that we overcome discrimination and embrace dedication to service, justice, peace, brotherhood. And whereas Dr. King challenged us all to action through his reminder that every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle. Now, therefore, I, Christine O. Gregoire, Governor of the State of Washington, do hereby proclaim January 16, 2006 as Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service in Washington State, and urges all citizens to respond to Dr. King's call to service by spending the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday as a day on and not a day off. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Seattle Mayor Greg Nichols is in Olympia also today attending a statewide mayor's meeting, but he has asked our Fire Chief, Gregory Dean, to share a proclamation as well. Fire Chief Dean.
Good afternoon. On behalf of Mayor Greg Nichols, who is unable to join us today, I am honored to proclaim January 13th, 2006 as the official Seattle Community College's 32nd annual Dr. Martin Luther King Celebration Day, and January 16th, 2006 as Dr. Martin Luther King Day. I've enjoyed attending this great celebration of Dr. King's legacy over the last 32 years. There's a long-standing tradition that the community has come to expect. As a representative of fire and police agencies within this region, it is my pleasure to say thank you to each and every one of you for making us a part of this important day. Each year, you have reserved seats for us. You have given us a warm welcome. And on behalf of all firefighters and police officers, we truly appreciate your kindness. Thank you again on behalf of Mayor Nichols and myself, and enjoy this 32nd annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration Day and Dr. Martin Luther King Day.
Thank you, Chief Dean. King County Executive Ron Sims is here. And as he makes his way to the podium, just a quick reminder, Ron, we're on a tight time schedule. I'm just kidding, minister's son.
Laura, you weren't kidding. It is great to be here to celebrate the anniversary of Martin Luther King County, anniversary of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King in Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King County, Washington. But I would be remiss if I didn't say something. I do love celebrations and anniversaries, and I do, in fact, believe that the most important thing is to take the life and living in the words of Dr. King and make them real. In the year 2000, we watched the state of Florida disenfranchise African Americans. But in this state, African American males are disenfranchised at a rate higher than those of Florida. We are Jeb Bush's dream. So there's no need for people to continue to talk about celebration and ignore the fact that African American males in particular are losing their right to vote. He was a scholar, and we all know that. And I have fatigued over the arguments that it is a longer road for African American youth to achieve excellence in schools and to accept it. It isn't. That is just called low expectations. And I remember Louise McKinney telling us very clearly, high expectations drive excellence. And I would like at least to see that when we talk about African American youth, that we talk about high expectations for their performance. So we do have very real challenges, yet those challenges are opportunities. So it is great to have this anniversary. It is great to have Martin Luther King days and weeks and this monthly celebration. It is great. But there are people who no longer want the anniversary celebrated. They are knocking at the door. They want that door opened. They want the right to vote, and they know they can achieve if given a chance. So let's have a celebration that is real for all of us.
Oh yeah, he's good. He's good. We also have greetings from Senator Maria Cantwell, who could not join us today. She writes, "We see great courage in the story of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and find inspiration still in his beautiful words. We reflect on the civil rights movement that he led and recognize that we have much more to do. That means writing a new economic story that creates opportunity for all Americans, not just a few privileged ones. It means standing up today for social justice, equality, and the most basic rights, just as Dr. King did 40 years ago. It means confronting, not ignoring, the poverty, corruption, and violence that betray the basic foundation of this nation and the core values of its people. That is our tribute to Dr. King, our obligation to one another, and our duty to future generations." Senator Maria Cantwell. I would like for these following groups and people to stand and be recognized as well. We appreciate their being here today. All the members of the Seattle City Council who are here today, please stand. Welcome. They had a long night last night listening to, 98 candidates for that open seat. Wow, what an audition. Also, our public safety officers from the city of Seattle. Public safety officers, here we go. Welcome. From King County, Sheriff Sue Rahr and the command staff and deputies. the King County Council members, including Larry Gossett Jr., who is working very hard to make sure that Martin Luther King Jr.'s image appears in our logo. Thank you, King County members. Also, from the education community, representatives from our 2- and 4-year colleges, members of the Seattle School Board, here today, and Superintendent Rajman Haas, former Seattle Community College's trustees Art Siegel and Carver Gayton. There's Art, there's Carver. And former Seattle Community College's Chancellor George Corcoran. There you are. And members of our college foundation boards. These are the people who work hard to raise the money. Foundation board members. Also members of the community, media, and business world. We would also like to acknowledge the Urban Enterprise Center, folks from the Seattle Chamber of Commerce, United Way of Seattle, El Centro de la Raza, the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, the NAACP, and the Washington Commission on African American Affairs, and the folks from CAMP, Central Area Motivation Program. Could you all stand, please? We also want to welcome and thank representatives from Macy's, who sponsors our speaker today. They are seated in the front row. Stand up, go ahead. They also had a preview reception for him last night. And representatives from the Fairmont Olympic, who is hosting our keynote speaker. Fairmont Olympic. Okay. To each and every one of you, thank you. Our next performer will be Felicia LaFall Curry. Now, you thought Phil was a really good musician. Wait till you hear Felicia.
I've been doing this almost all of these 32 years. So it's good to be back again another year. Take my hand and lead me home. Let me stay. I'm tired, and oh Lord knows I will. Oh, and I'm warm. Through the storm, Yes, I need you. I need you to take my hand. Hey, lead me on, lead me on, and let me stand. 'Cause sometimes down here I get tired, yes I do. Yeah, sometimes I get a little weak, and sometimes I get worn. I get worn. Yeah. He's like home, yeah. Hear me, Lord. Oh, hold my hand. I need you to hold my hand, Jesus, lest I fall. So take my hand. Press it on. Yeah. And lead. I need you to lead. I need you to lead. I need you to lead. I'm asking you to lead me home.
Thank you, Felicia LaFall Curry. One more time, ladies and gentlemen. A former student and employee of Seattle Community Colleges. So there. Thank you, Felicia. What a gift. It is now my pleasure to welcome Dr. Charles Mitchell to the podium. Dr. Mitchell is Chancellor of Seattle Community Colleges, a graduate of Seattle Public Schools and the University of Washington, and a member of the Huskies' 1961 Rose Bowl team. Dr. Mitchell, you have a PhD, and that still gets the biggest applause. I don't get that. Everyone you meet in town will tell you that they're a friend of Charles, and he's just one of the most decent people I know. In the case of keynote speaker Ernie Barnes, he really is a good friend of Charles. They met while playing pro football together for the Denver Broncos and have maintained their friendship all these years. Here to introduce his longtime friend, Dr. Charles Mitchell.
Thank you, Lori, and such a beautiful crowd. Thank all of you for being here with us today. I was trying to warn Ernie that we're coming behind a dynamo singer. I don't know why I'm following Felicia ever. I tell you, this is a great day, and it's a real pleasure for me to give all of you some background of Ernie Barnes and his career. And as Lori mentioned, we knew each other since our playing days with the Denver Broncos. And as you can see, that he was a guard, a lineman, and he's not a 300-pounder. So we were playing way back in the days before they had the 300-pound lineman, and you know I'm not a 240-pound running back as well. But we had a great time together. And since that time, of course, our careers have taken different paths, but we continue our friendship. And I want to let you know that that's saying a lot, since Ernie did miss 1 or 2 blocks for me. Yeah, that ended my career up there. I might add that Ernie's magnificent wife is here with us today. She traveled with him, and her name is Bernie, and we welcome her to our great city. And I'd just like to say that my wife, Nancy, was here with my granddaughters. We're very good friends with Bernie and Ernie, and it's been just great having a relationship with him. Ernie Barnes received his academic training at North Carolina Central University in his hometown of Durham, North Carolina. And while he was on a football and a track scholarship, as an art major, he was trained in mastering the highest expression of man's visual, creative powers, and that's the human figure. In the early 60s, his principal ambitions was to become an artist. However, he entered the arena of professional football, where for 5 years he played with the San Diego Chargers and the Denver Broncos. And as said, that was then when we met. Ernie then decided to retire from football and devote his life to art. And I must say that we ball players were so naive to the world of art. Because Ernie would say, hey man, I got this art I'd sell to you for a few $100. Man, I could draw that myself. You know? Little did we know if we had bought those pieces, they'd be worth thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, a few years down the road, Ernie had his first solo exhibition at Manhattan's prestigious Grand Central Art Galleries. After this show, he gained a following among sports figures and other celebrities. Today, you will find his original art displayed in the personal collections of many celebrities, some who were among his earliest collectors of work include Hollywood celebrities Elizabeth Montgomery, Jack Palance, and Dinah Shore, as well as Will and Jada Smith. And even some of our professional athletes in Seattle possess his work, and some of these individuals like Walter Jones of the Seahawks, former Sonic star Gary Payton, and Sam Perkins. And there are some other athletes like myself, but these people had the original art. So since his entry into the art world, the words that describe his works are universal. Words such as insightful, grateful, powerful, and educational. Americans became familiar with his work via the television series Good Times, and in 1984, Ernie became internationally recognized by his appointment as the official artist for the Los Angeles Olympics. Although he could not attend the University of North Carolina as a student due to segregation, in 1999 he was the recipient of the University Award, the highest honor given by that college's board of governors for his contribution to education. Last year he was named America's Best Painter of Sports by the American Sports Art Museums and Archives. He will soon be named the Honorary Ambassador for the UNESCO Art Miles Mural Project, which is part of a worldwide effort created to afford children an opportunity to express themselves through various mural projects. This year marks Ernie's 40th year as a professional artist, so I want you to please join me in giving him a good Seattle welcome for the greatest artist in the universe, Ernie Barnes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell, and all of you for your presence and for allowing me the opportunity and to honor requests and speak to you briefly about certain elements of my career and the related significance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Darnell, never been moved to do a painting of a choir. But when I get home, and you, Felicia, nothing needs be said, doesn't it? At a very early age, I was charged, just by dint of my humanity, to become as fully as I was able that person I discovered within myself, the me who was the truest me, and that person was an artist. It was a dream supported by certain values and reinforced at every turn by my mother, my father, neighborhood, church, and school. But as much as I was receiving the creative and appreciative aspects of life at one end, they were turning them off at the other. You see, I was born and spent my early development years in the South. At that time, it was nearly perfectly racially segregated, and engaged in putting down all those promising traits African American children were born with, and which they literally ached to turn into abilities. Self-esteem issues were low, as you might imagine, and as Dr. King so eloquently pointed out, that to control people, you first must control what they think about themselves and how they regard their culture and their history. And once your conqueror makes you ashamed of your culture and your history, he needs no prison walls to chain you, because the chains on your mind are more than enough. Well, when you lack an understanding of the past and you have a limited vision of the future, the chains on your mind can cause you to live an impoverished present. But one of the things we had, and the great thing that we had going for us during those days, as bad as it was our teachers. My teachers built around me a culture of character and an ethic of personal responsibility so strong that my dream always seemed achievable. And when we grow up thinking about our lives, we measure ourselves by reflecting on who we are, what we want to do. And we do this because the striving for self-improvement is one of the deepest and most distinctive human impulses. We say, okay, what's missing? What do I really have to do? Well, when I entered junior high school, in no way did I see football in my vision for self-improvement. It was just the opposite, but I went out for the team because I wanted to fit in, and really became much better than I had intended. I graduated high school with 26 athletic scholarships and was thrilled to gain admittance to North Carolina Central University, then called North Carolina College at Durham for Negroes. But being admitted was, after all, the natural expectations of a background that emphasized self-improvement and the will to shape your own fate. As a developing artist, I was finding those natural skills that most children have, but for those culturally arbitrary skills whose acquisition depends on opportunity and motivation, I got a major in art. What may have empowered me to persevere occurred during my freshman year when we were invited as a class to attend the recently desegregated North Carolina Museum of Art in Raleigh. And as students, we were really excited about going because it had been previously the home territory to only the more elevated class of society. So we as African Americans were said at that time to be unable to decode, much less appreciate the cherished masterpieces in the museum. So the day that we got there, The paintings that were shown to her, some were somewhat intimidating because they reflected Southern life, and then their abstraction was the vogue of the day, and the museum was just filled with it. So when I got the opportunity, I went over to the docent and I asked her, where are there paintings by Negro artists? And she looked at me as if I had just stepped in something. Went up and down, looked. And she said, young man, your people don't express themselves this way. Well, I took that kind of personally, I guess. In 1978, I returned to that museum with a one-man show hosted by the governor. But what it made me think about, and what it makes me think about to this day, is how the destructive nature of words can act on the soul, to dominate human realities to the point where they can distort the inner process and cause people to change inner-driven motives to secondary importance. Looking back, bless her heart, she didn't know about Horace Pippin, Duncanson. She didn't know about Henry O. Tanner, Edward Bannister, Charles White, and certainly she didn't know about Jacob Lawrence. She didn't know about my homegirl, Selma Burke, from Mooresville, North Carolina, an African-American sculptress. And if you want to see her work, just take out that dime you have in your pocket. That dime and that image of President Roosevelt was sculpted by an African-American female. I wonder why. It makes me wonder, I don't know why this isn't just general knowledge. Following the challenge of my art instructor to record my movements onto paper, what my body felt like in action on the field. By the time I was drafted in 1960, football had kind of become an extension of my anatomy class. I was drafted 10th by the world champion Baltimore Colts and last cut during that season, and went on to play for 5 seasons between the Chargers and the Denver Broncos, which is where I met my friend, as you know. Around the end of my 5th year, the artist in me was coming alive, and I felt that it was time to retire. And to my good fortune, the San Diego Chargers owner, Baron Hilton, had communicated my talents to Mr. David Sonny Werblin, who was then the owner of the New York Jets. Mr. Werblin had me to come to New York and to bring all of my paintings, and while I stood outside of the Incurable Collectors Gallery on 57th Street, critics were evaluating my work inside. When he came out, he was wearing this huge smile, came over and put his arms around my neck, and we walked across the street. And he said, "No more football for you, young man. You know what they said about you in there?" I said, "No, but I think it was probably funny." He said, "Why?" I said, "Well, when you came out, you were laughing." He says, No. He said, "They said you were the most expressive painter of the American scene since George Bellows." So, Charlie, I got a game check every week for staying at home, finding a studio, and developing my skills as an artist. Then in 1966, he placed me in New York's Grand Central Art Gallery, where I had my first one-man show, and very few, if any, African Americans were in sight during that time. It was a wonderful thing that he did for me. Even though I was working as an artist, I felt something was missing. My work appeared to have the surface reflections of an observer. rather than one who had experienced. And I was attributing this to my difficulty in trying to find the lines and forms to express the emotions, pleasures and emotions I felt nature had assigned to me, unless there was some creative dream or goal I could honestly act on. Otherwise, what did my impulses want to reveal to me? Well, it just so happened that at this time, during this time, black became beautiful in America, and I was living in the Fairfax section of Los Angeles, which is the Jewish district. And it was in this community that I became aware of the values embedded in Jewish tradition, and in particular, Jewish proverbs. So when James Brown was singing, when he started singing, "I'm black and I'm proud," I said, okay, proud of what? When he said, "Black is beautiful," I said, fine. How and in what ways? And asking those questions of myself led me to approaching eventually Norman Lear to become a sponsor of my exhibition, The Beauty of the Ghetto. Asking those questions led to some of my most important paintings and to the exhibition, The Beauty of the Ghetto, premiering in Atlanta, Georgia at the High Memorial Museum in 1973. Finding those paintings within me meant retiring into myself so that drawing became an introspective journey from within, thinking with my soul and becoming spiritually intelligent so that I could gain access to the common unconscious. It was also during this time that what has become a significant feature in my work first appeared, and that's the closed eyes. Why? When my attention turned to the absence of a sympathetic discernment among us as a people, and we seemed to be quick, much too quick, in forming an attitude about one another, I realized just how blind we are to one another's humanity, so I began to close the eyes of the people I painted. We just don't bring enough information to the act of seeing the gifts and strengths and the world of possibilities within each and every human being. And we can't seem to find the depth of our own interconnection when all of life is interrelated. We are all caught up in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied into a single garment of destiny. This was the inner voice of Dr. King. And he spoke those words with an unwavering conviction. And what this tells you is that a basic human need stands at the center of the art experience, is the need to be reassured that inner ambivalence, doubts, and anxieties can be given shape. These needs are so much a part of our humanity that they function almost at an unconscious level. Art, that thing we call art, is simply the name for the most complete and intense form of expression of the inner life. It's that part of us that we are reluctant to discuss, but it's that part of us that gives rise to our feelings of awe, beauty, and a higher order of meaning. We refer to it as the spiritual life of our species. The pencil is merely a tool guided by the Spirit. The hand must follow the Spirit in order to find the lines and forms closest to the idea. As people gather, as we all gather each year to celebrate the birthday of Dr. King, a man who was not noble by birth, but by action, it seems to me that his day should be a day about possibility thinking, a day for us to make sound judgments about healthy human behavior and the care that everyone owes to him or herself to the unfolding and perfecting of their nature. I am today the artist I dreamed of becoming because people were in place to support that dream. I find myself emotionally stirred by something I perceive or think of, and the attempt is to express the feeling that inspires in me by seeking an image to embody it. The process provides me with a mirror of the thinking aspects of my soul. Therefore, my art is my religion. My paintings are the spiritual expression of who I am, what I am, my faith, my knowledge, my being. And since art is the name for the most complete and intense form of expression of the inner life, the power of God works through me. Creativity is God's gift to us. Using it is our gift back to God. And when you use it, you come to discover that it's not just about drawing and painting. It's about building the person you want to become within the framework of your dream. Thank you very much for listening.
Mr. Barnes, thank you for sharing your spirit and your love of God with us. Appreciate that. Every year we have requests about our keynote speaker and the speech. When can we get a copy? Where can we get a copy? You are going to have an opportunity to hear the speech again on the Martin Luther King holiday, Monday, when this program will be repeated on TVW, the television service for our state. That's Channel 23 in the city of Seattle, and we'd like to thank TVW for that public service. The program will also be broadcast during Black History Month by Seattle Community College's television on Comcast Channel 28 and Millennium Channel 32. This has been a terrific afternoon of inspiration, of spiritual awareness, and a time to reflect on our blessings. We'd like to hear more inspiration now with the sounds of Donnell Damon and a royal priesthood. That's your painting. That's your painting right there. The McKinney Scholar Award is presented every year to a student at the Seattle Community Colleges. The scholarship was set up 8 years ago to honor the long service of the Reverend Dr. Samuel Barry McKinney as pastor of Mount Zion Church. Like our keynote speaker, Ernie Barnes, he was also celebrating a 40-year anniversary at that time. Please welcome the Reverend Samuel McKinney. He will join Dr. Jill Wakefield, president of South Seattle Community College, in presenting the 8th annual McKinney Scholar Award.
I can't stop. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I am very pleased to announce that Bernadette Needler is a recipient of the 8th Annual McKinney Scholarship. Bernadette, here she is. Bernadette comes to South Seattle from Evergreen High School, where her extracurricular activities included gymnastics. She's now in her second year at the college, and she's enrolled in our pastry and baking arts program. After she graduates, she hopes to eventually open her own cake or chocolate shop. Look out, friends, here comes Bernadette's Chocolates. Even her part-time job is related to her future career in culinary arts. After her classwork on campus, she works at the local ice cream store. Well, today, Bernadette's sister Thalia Needler is here to join her, and I want to offer my personal congratulations to both of you.
Congratulations, Bernadette, on this noble achievement, and I know you'll do well in school. Whenever you open your restaurant or bakery shop, let us know, not that we need it. But we certainly want to encourage you, and God bless you for the job that you've already done.
Congratulations, Bernadette, and to your family, too. Well, we're going to conclude today's program with a first. We're talking the first hip-hop performance at this annual celebration. The youngsters up there in the balcony, they're all excited about this. Let me tell you a little bit about our performer today, Jay Woods. Jay Woods is a rising young Seattle artist. Since he was 8 and a half, Jamal Woods realized that he enjoyed both reading and poetry. Just 3 years later, he was writing songs, and today, at 15, he already has a long list of performances to his credit. He has written a personal and memorable tribute to Dr. King that he will share with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Woods.
Okay, how's everybody doing? I just want to know. Okay, I wrote this song dedicated to Martin Luther King, and it's hip-hop, and I know you guys don't like it, so, you know. Alright, we're gonna have fun in here. I want everybody to just start clapping with me. Let's go. We have to have fun. It wasn't fun to say goodbye, say goodbye. 'Cause Dr. King, we miss you. Say goodbye. It wasn't fun to say goodbye, say goodbye. 'Cause Dr. King, we miss you. Listen, look. I have a dream like ML King. He said treat life as real as it seems. No more killers and fiends. I mean, we've been segregated and hated for a long time until he stood up, then he spoke his mind. So now that we ain't urged for time, we like to splurge and shine. He influenced me to use my words to rhyme. It don't matter if you're black or white. Just know if you're thinking different, then your mind ain't right. You need to fix it and go find your life. Maybe stress is up in the back of your head too tight, so you gotta think wise. Otherwise, you gon' be slaves to the fears and lies despite the color of your skin. Because we're all people, we're all equal, and we all got feelings within. Never let them other people just to convince you to sin. Cause you gotta live life like you really wanna win. Come grow with us, you know we'll take you in. Cause Dr. King, we miss you. Say goodbye. Cause Dr. King, we miss you. I thank ML King for the joyous things he brings, for changing both the small and the major things. You can tell that we're under attack. I'm proud where I'm at. Yeah, and I'ma say it like that, and it's hard to spit the true facts. People living like maniacs, and it shows by the way they act. Slavery was madness, but you know to carry that. I can see him up stands looking down at his people, smiling because we all now treated as equal. He be happy to see our people being treated legal. I wonder why some men were just born so evil, and every day I pray to see a better day. We came a long way from standing outside of the racist gates. We was given a second chance, 1968. State the date, I'ma state the time and place. Listen, the hardest to death because of our race. Come on, everybody, chance out, let's go. We got fun, yeah, yeah. Say goodbye. It wasn't fun to say goodbye, to say. ML King. He changed the prejudice things. He made it so a black man can achieve his dreams. Now it's something that we can believe instead of another scheme that's trying to change the way we breathe. R.I.P. Rest in peace. Give a hand round of applause for the man who did a good deed. Black or white, be treated equally. People see stress ain't what we need. All I can say is thank you to MLK, the king. Look at the joy he brings. People laugh and sing. I know he's up in the after scene. I know he's up in heaven's gates looking after me. He's carrying me to beats and beats so rapidly. And you helped me figure out my lifetime goals. Dr. King, thank you for what you did. But I'm sorry, Dr. King, I'm sorry that you had to go. Come on. It wasn't fun to say goodbye, to say goodbye, say goodbye. Cause Dr. King, we miss you. It wasn't fun to say goodbye, to say goodbye. Cause Dr. King, we miss you. Everybody say goodbye. 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 You guys are a great crowd. God bless.
I guess we're going to see you at the Grammys someday, too. Fabulous. Fabulous. We'd like to thank all of you, our speaker, our guests, our wonderful performers today for helping us celebrate and to remember. We'd like to invite everyone to a reception in Fellowship Hall, and you'll have an opportunity to meet Ernie Barnes yourself and see some of his artwork. As we close, a special thank you to our hosts, Mount Zion Baptist Church, and to the Program Planning Committee at the Seattle Community Colleges. Get on your program. And could we all join together as we conclude this program by singing We Shall Overcome, led by the Reverend Dr. Samuel B. McKinney.
Let's all stand and reach out and take someone by the hand. This is not a funeral dirge. This is a song that kept people marching and on their feet. We shall overcome, not someday, but today. All right? We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. Now that you've practiced it, let us sing it. My wife corrected my English. We must overcome today, but let's do what comes naturally for some of us. We shall pick it up. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. We are not afraid. 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 Today. Oh, deep in my heart, we are not afraid. We'll walk hand in